Good morning, everyone, or good evening, wherever you are. This is Krian, the host of the Amun Inside Crypto podcast. It has been an interesting morning because I was supposed to do a podcast with somebody, and he did not reply and he did not pitch up as well, even though I sent a script, I sent a time. And I guess this sort of teaches me a lesson that says, like, when you're supposed to podcast, um, you should, if somebody doesn't reply after you send them the script, that probably means they're not going to attend. But look, I've learned my lesson. So today is our Tuesday morning or Monday evening, usual sort of stream on Wisdom. And we're also doing this on YouTube today at the same time, where people can ask questions and people can say, hey, um, I don't understand this about crypto, this about Bitcoin, or that sort of stuff. But usually, what happens today is we usually go through the news. We see what's been happening in the crypto market, which is why, if you're watching the stream on YouTube, you can see that we're looking at coinmarketcap.com. For our wisdom listeners, that's usually where I start, and then we go through all the news via Google and have a look that way. I just realized for comments and YouTube stuff, I should probably have the window open on, or I should say the chat window open on YouTube, so that if somebody does answer a question or ask a question on YouTube, that I can answer it. And there it shows that I am live right there. All right, and let's turn my volume down so you guys don't hear me speaking 2 times or 3 times. So if you're new, right, before this show used to be Wednesday morning, Tuesday evening. It is now Tuesday morning Taiwanese time, Monday evening American time. We're talking about the news, and we're doing this as a first time. We're sort of live streaming it to YouTube, just YouTube, and we're also doing it on Wisdom as well. So if you've joined on Wisdom, if you have a question, please bear in mind that this will be on YouTube at the same time. Just your voice, of course, because Wisdom is an audio app. So let's get started. Let's look at the cryptocurrency market at the moment. Now, the market has been down for a significant amount of time. It's been like under 30,000, but in the last probably 24 hours, things started looking up. So at the moment, if you're following along with me on YouTube, or if you're just listening, Bitcoin is at $31,550. It is up 7% in the last 24 hours. Ethereum at $1,986. We're skipping the stable coins, of course. BNB $319. Cardano 58 cents. Solana $46.91. Dogecoin 8 cents. Polkadot $10.40. TRX 8 cents. Avalanche $27.96. Shiba Inu 0.00001207. Polygon's Matic 65 cents. Unis said Leo $5.23. Litecoin $68.92. Kronos 18 cents. So overall, like, all the 24-hour changes are all green, right? Stablecoins, of course, don't change. Everyone looks like it's doing good. The 7-day changes are a lot less. Looks like Bitcoin is up 8% in the last 7 days. Cardano up 13% in the last 7 days. TRX up 7.9% in the last 7 days. So interesting. Now this might be what is called like a false flag or something like that. False flag is probably the wrong terminology, but people say this might be a short bounce before we go back down again in a significant way. And I guess that is common if you go back and you look at Bitcoin for the last like 6, 7, 8 years. Bitcoin is something that does that, or I should say, Bitcoin shows the trend where the market takes a huge crash, right? And then it goes up, and people are like, okay, the bear market is over. And if you guys been listening to this wisdom talk, that you know that from just reading stories, from watching interviews, from internally at the company that I work for, people are expecting the bear market or the crypto winter to last 3 to 6 months. So I'm still like, on overall, right, I'm still very optimistic about crypto, optimistic about the technology. I've been reading loads of stories about NFTs recently and how bad they are. I'm still optimistic about NFTs, if you can believe that. So it's interesting. I Now, whether this is a short-term bounce or is this the end of is this the shortest bear market in a long time? I don't know. Again, right, let me remind everyone, if you're new to the show, if you're new to this, this is, I don't provide financial advice. I just sort of go through the news Monday evening, Tuesday morning, and let you guys know my opinion and let you know what I think. And maybe you sort of chat about other things in the process. If you're new to the show, right, please hit that guest button. Come ask me a question. I'll be more than happy to answer anybody's questions. Today is the new show Saturday. So Saturday morning, Friday evening, American time or Eastern Standard Time, I tend to take questions. Usually those days we go through like social media, like Reddit, Twitter, Quora, and we answer questions. So today, like if you do have other questions, I'd be happy to answer those. We tend to sort of go over the news. So if you have any news related questions, I'd love to hear those as well. Okay. And let's start going and looking at the news. The Luna cryptocurrency has been resurrected after its $40 billion collapse. It's already crashing. So this is a story, right, that's been going on for the last probably 3 to 4 weeks. Luna was one of the biggest cryptocurrencies in the world, like going back, let's say going back 6 weeks or so. Luna was like at $40 billion in total market cap. They had some issues. We're not going to go over the whole story today, but basically, yeah, they crashed significantly in a big way. Their stablecoin depegged, and what happened after that is, people are like, okay, how do we recover? The founder of Luna, Do Kwon, he said, okay, here are two proposals. We burn some Luna, which is what a lot of people wanted, to decrease the supply and, and maybe reduce the sell pressure. And the other people are like, let's just start a new chain, no UST. UST was their stablecoin. And what ended up happening was, the people who wanted to start a new cryptocurrency chain, Luna, so it's just Luna, and the old one became Luna C. Basically that happened. So they started Luna and it was listed on this past Saturday, if I believe, so about 3 days ago. And it was impressive, right? So it started on quite a few exchanges, like Bybit was one of them. And I believe if you got in very early, right, the price of Luna went up to like $18 or $19 before it dropped down to like $6. My wife was talking to me yesterday, right, because Binance was one of the people who said, yeah, they will support the new Luna chain. And she got airdropped some Luna to her Binance account. I have not logged into my Binance account to check. But yeah, so she got a little bit of Luna because basically, if you were a long-term Luna holder, I mean, the whole idea of this new Luna chain was to sort of compensate people who had lost a lot of money. And let me remind you guys, right? Some people lost a lot of money. One of the crypto YouTubers that I follow, and I'm not really a crypto YouTuber, right? I'm still very small in the sense. One of the crypto YouTubers that I follow, he lost 120,000, and he's quite famous on YouTube. He has like 120,000 followers on Twitter. He does videos on YouTube, though I think definitely he's more famous on Twitter. I could be wrong there, but he's like one of a long line of people who lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Loads of people put their money into Anchor Protocol. Anchor Protocol was a very famous savings Luna protocol, and they lost their money there. So cryptocurrency is dangerous, right? I've told you guys before, you never invest more than what you have. Even if why I love crypto, and I've mentioned this as well, and it's a plug, is that crypto allows you to sort of put in a little bit of money, unlike the stock market, right? I mean, there's no huge amounts of fees. No one is taking 1% of your trades or anything like that. Crypto is also the only option that I can see for myself and other people in my situation to sort of grow their personal wealth. But getting back to the point, right? So Luna is supposed to come out on Binance if it hasn't already come out so on Binance, and that would mean like I guess I saw the story today is that like with it coming out on Binance, it saw a 40% increase in price. So while this first story today is saying that Luna prices crash, and it did crash technically, because when the new Luna came out, right, a bunch of people who had lost money, of course, they cashed out, they took their airdrop Luna and they sold, which caused the price to, I wouldn't say crash, just to go down to what would be a reasonable level. Now, that being said as well, there are a whole load of DeFi protocols and other people they're going to be building on the new Luna, and the new Luna doesn't have a stable coin, so that should probably make it more stable in a sense. So that's interesting, you know. Let's see how it goes. I'm not overly positive about Luna in general. I mean, just because there's so much like bad history and so many people think it's not going to work. But that being said, a lot of people are betting on this to be like a big gamble. They're like, okay, I'm going to put a little bit of money in. It's very cheap at the moment. Maybe it gets back to its old level. So if you're new to cryptocurrency, right, Luna used to be at one point $100 or $120 for one Luna. So if you bought 100, let's say you bought 100 Luna right now, right, that would be about 500 US dollars, right? So if that goes up to its eventual levels at the moment, right, you'd be 20xing your investment. So your $500 would become $10,000, right? But that would be a big gamble, right? But I mean, some people have the money to gamble. If you do, why not? If you don't, definitely do not do that. Okay, let's look at another story. This is a story from CoinDesk. It says Bitcoin begins a new week hitting above $31,000. We already mentioned this. So, I mean, it is a holiday weekend. Maybe people on holiday and they're feeling more positive about cryptocurrency. So it says cryptocurrency bulls were relieved Monday with a bounce in digital assets, especially as the sector failed to rally last week alongside publicly traded technology stocks, right? So talking about that point, right, is a lot of people are saying cryptocurrency and the stock market is heavily correlated at the moment. Sorry for that. But last week when the stocks went up, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency did not bounce. So people are a little bit confused about that. I'm not confused. While I think cryptocurrency in general is generally correlated, it is not like a one-to-one correlation. I think it's sort of a correlation of convenience in a sense, but I mean, that's just my opinion. All right, Bitcoin broke above $30,000, but it needs to hold the $29,300 level on a retest to suggest continuation to the upside. Marcus Sotiru, analyst at digital asset broker Global Block, said in a note Monday, relief has been long overdue in the crypto market as the US stock market already rallied last week after Jerome Powell's speech that gave the market clarity on their plans to carry out a soft economic landing. All right. Everywhere else in the latest crypto rally, either Ether jumped over 8% to about 1940. This talks about prices. The rally in cryptocurrencies Monday comes on the back of a bump in Asian equities, amid reports that major Chinese cities have started to ease coronavirus restrictions after months of strict lockdowns. So again, this is something like I live in Asia, and this has been a story. Taiwan has not locked down, but people have been worried, like, would Taiwan go this way? Like, are we going to do like a Chinese style lockdown? But we're not. But there've been loads of protests. If you've been looked on social media, like some people in Shanghai have been locked down for like months on end, with just being stuck in your place and working at home and getting very little food because you're not allowed to go out and buy food. And that's been a big disruption to the supply chains. So loads of people, like I believe Samsung has cut supplies for their cell phones as well. And I think that is a supply chain issue. So, I mean, when supply chains have been cut, less stuff is produced, consumers are spending less money because they have less money to spend on. And that is a sort of circular knock-on effect when it comes to the economy. So, I mean, if China is sort of letting people work, right? And in Shanghai, they had allowed some companies to work, but they were significant restrictions to that matter, right? So like you had to follow like really strict and really crazy rules if you did want to go back to the factory, if you did want to start producing stuff. But I guess that is not the case anymore. So they have let off. I think I was reading the news this morning as well, and they were saying that they were going to, reduce the restrictions, and so maybe the life would be getting back to normal in China. that being said, right, like Xi Jinping, right, the president of China, is still very much in the zero, like zero COVID tolerance approach, whether that be good or bad for the economy. So we don't know. Is there going to be another lockdown if there's another serious variant of the coronavirus? I mean, what is going to happen in China? And of course, that's going to impact everywhere. Because I remember seeing like ships from the States when they were going to China to pick up products. They were leaving the United States on time. I mean, despite the United States has its own problems with trucking and freight shipments and trains, and not enough people working. But ships were leaving like LA on time, like the port of Los Angeles, but they were, slow to unload in China and slow to leave in China at the same time. So, all of these have sort of big significant effects on the economy, and the stock market and inflation and all of that stuff has a knock-on effect when it comes to crypto. Okay, and let's look at our next story. Okay, so I'm just checking the YouTube stream at the moment for a second. So our next story is going to be, this is all about Bitcoin as well. We just talked about Bitcoin. 5 things to know on Bitcoin this week. I always love stories like this because it sort of simplifies data. And I mean, who wants to read large blocks of text? Okay, so let's read these 5 things. This is, can Bitcoin avoid 10 weeks of red? So Bitcoin has been like 9 weeks in the red. And that's like not a good sign, right? But I mean, like we've talked about previously on this podcast, excuse me for a sec. Sorry about that, guys. So I mean, you guys who've been listening to Wisdom, if you watched my regular YouTube videos, I guess the YouTube videos you would not know, like I have pretty bad allergies. So that is why I had to sneeze. But yeah, can Bitcoin avoid 10 weeks in the red? The longest time Bitcoin's been sort of down was like a year, and that was like 2014 or 2015, something along those lines. I mean, we're gonna have to see if it can. And then here's a quote from somebody, Jordan Lindsay, founder of JCL Capital, told Twitter followers, "In my opinion, not a time to be greedy looking for bottom ticks." Okay, so what he means by that is, like people like me, right? I'm still waiting for like the real bottom, because I've mentioned on this show before that like some investment firms and sort of traditional finance people are expecting Bitcoin to sort of bottom out like 8,000 or 9,000 or 10,000 as like the supreme bottom before we get back into a bull market. So I have not spent some of the money I've been looking towards sort of putting towards this currency. So let's see how it looks, right? This is all about Bitcoin. Stock rebound is a bear market rally. Okay. So the stocks rebounded last week, and what that title means is that there's like these short-term bounce, just like the title of today's Wisdom Talk, the title of the YouTube stream is that this is like a short-term rally. It's the prices will go up for maybe 2, 3, 4 days, maybe 5 days, and then it'll go back down again and maybe go back down in a big way. So that is something. Dollar strength tags 1 month lows. So this I have to read because I don't quite understand it. Coming to test support levels through the past week has been the strength of the US dollar. After surging to levels not seen since December 2002, the US dollar index DXY is finally coming back down to earth and even challenging its up-year trend. This may still act as a silver lining for risk assets should the trend continue, as inverse correlation has worked in Bitcoin's favor, in particular in the past. This could just be the start of the bull run of 2022, an emboldened crypto rover argued. Sorry. Uploading a comparative chart showing that Bitcoin DXY inverse correlation and how it played out in the past years. So you should go to Cointelegraph if you're on Wisdom and have a look at this article. Like looking at the graph right here, it shows the bull market of 2016, the bull market of 2020, and there is that sort of inverse correlation between the US dollar index and Bitcoin. Maybe that is true. Maybe it is not true. I guess we don't know. But I mean, this does look like good news for Bitcoin overall. Bitcoin nearing a cyclical bottom. Not everyone is bearish among Bitcoin analysts, and one of them, CryptoQuant CEO Ki Yong-ju, has the data to prove why. Uploading the latest readings from Bitcoin's realized cap distributions, Key argued that in fact, BTC USD is currently at a similar stage to March 2020. Realizing cap reflects the price at which each Bitcoin last moved, and it can be broken down into age bands. These in turn show the proportion of the BTC supply that makes up its realized cap, which last moved a certain length of time ago. Right now, 62% of the realized cap involves unspent transaction outputs UTXOs from 6 months ago. Later, for Key, this signifies, oh my god, I can't talk today, signifies floor territory for BTC price, as has been the case historically, and most significantly during the March 2020 COVID-19 crash. BTC is getting close to the cyclic bottom, he summarized. Now UTXOs over 6 months old take 62% of realized cap. In March 2020 great sell-off, this indicator reached 62% as well. So this means that maybe we are heading to that sort of bull market. Sentiment hints at long-term buying opportunity. Now this is something I can speak to as well, because like again, we've talked about this website, and I've just sort of come to sort of find this website in the past. Is that it's a website, whalestats.com. Let's see if we can actually look at it. Now, with the way my microphone and stuff is sort of set up, is it very hard to type. Hopefully, when I move to another place in the future, that it will, ooh, they've changed the dashboard. So now we are looking on Ethereum, choosing whales, 100 whales. So if you're looking at my screen at the moment, and I believe most people should be looking at my screen at the moment, that you can see that we're looking at whalestats.com. The whale fear and greed index is 26 fear. So the fear and greed index, right, if you're new to cryptocurrency, sort of tells you like how people feel about the market. So despite the uptick, people are still a little bit afraid, not very afraid. I mean, which is to be expected, because you know lots of people have the same thought process that I have been telling you guys, which is that they are worried that this is a temporary uptick in the price of cryptocurrency and that it's going to fall down eventually. So that makes sense. Let's look at another. It says whale buyers versus whale sellers. So 7-6, right? So it's pretty even. So people are technically buying more than they are selling, but there's a, I guess, a slightly greater number of buyers than sellers when it comes to buy volume. $51 million buy volume versus $20 million in sell volume. That sort of explains why we have the uptick in prices, because the buyers are pushing the price up, which is fantastic. The most traded token is Gala. So Gala Games is a very famous NFT gaming platform. I believe my wife and I have some Gala. I might have sold my Gala. If I'm not mistaken, but they make a bunch of really fun NFT games. I believe like they have a game which is like a not civilization, like a SimCity style game where you build up a city, or City Skylines might be a better example. And you build up a city and you have citizens and you do roads and stuff. And if you get into the top 100 players of that game, you get money, like real money, for being a good player. I don't think there are any NFTs in that game, but they have other NFT games, if I'm not mistaken. Most widely held token is BAT, right? So basic attention token. That is the token of the Brave browser. I believe this. So I've tried to use Brave browser. So if you're an American person or European person, maybe you have the same issue as me. So I have tried to use Brave browser on my mobile. I have not earned any BAT tokens at all. So which kind of sucks. So I'm hoping BAT tokens can start to work in Asia, because I mean, who wouldn't want to earn free crypto? And the Brave browser is a pretty neat browser. It is pretty fast. I do like it. The biggest token position by dollar value is FTT. FTT is the token of the FTX exchange, right? It is also, and again, we've mentioned this before on the podcast, it is one of those tokens that um, sort of the media have suggested that in the bear market or the crypto winter, that exchange tokens are the tokens that people have been buying and holding, and they have been relatively less volatile. So example is FTT, BNB, Coin, I guess, is the one for Coinbase, but I guess Coinbase's price is not doing that great. But yeah, FTT, I guess a lot of people are very bullish about FTX and FTT. Let's check holding. What are whales holding? So of course, I love this new visualization as well. So if we're looking at the greatest amount of holding as when it comes to whales, right? Top holdings of all tokens excluding Ethereum. So USDC, right, 19.95%. So whales on Ethereum, right, so this is on the Ethereum chain, are holding $912 million of USDC. They're holding $862 million of FTX's token FTT. They're holding $555 million of SHIB, $416 million of stablecoin USDT, $282 million of BEST. I have no idea what is BEST token. I'm sorry for that. What else is there? $377 million of OKB, 373.77%, $172 million of CHSB, other tokens, Mana, Crow, Matic, Link. So everything else is pretty small. So it seems like FTX is the biggest holder, and then Shiba Inu. Who would have believed a meme token is the largest holding of that? All right, let's have a look at trading. So by trading volume, Ethereum, of course, is the largest trade token. Stablecoins, USDT, USDC. Yearn Finance is a big trade. Wrapped Ethereum, DAI, Wrapped Bitcoin, Gala, KNC, and SNX. Okay. This is smart contracts, is not interesting. Most sold tokens. Ethereum is the most sold token as well. Yearn Finance, I guess this is very similar to the other one. Ren. Top 10 purchase tokens. Yearn Finance. Wrapped Bitcoin, KNC, Pax Gold, Gala, Aave. Okay, interesting. All right, so that is some interesting news. Maybe we'll come back and look at this later. So yeah, long-term buying opportunity. I can see a lot of people sort of looking at this right now and saying, okay, they want to buy some Bitcoin, they want to buy some Ethereum. The bottom is here. I mean, the price is still pretty low compared to like 6 weeks ago. So I'm like as we're doing this podcast and this wisdom talk, I'm like, oh my god, I should definitely buy some Bitcoin just in case the market is going to go up. But we're going to have to see how it goes. Okay. Let's go back to the news. Let's see. Do we finish this story? Yes, we did. All right, so we talked about this. Luna 2.0 jumps 75% in 24 hours ahead of Binance listing. Argentines turn to Bitcoin amid inflation worries, right? Inflation is definitely a big worry at the moment. Taiwan, inflation is a problem. Pretty much everywhere, inflation is a problem. All right, let's dive into this story. Since 2016, Argentina has been engaged in a war against inflation caused by multiple factors like a lack of trust in the central bank or government overspending. The depreciation of the Argentinian peso has negatively impacted citizens' purchasing power. This has brought 37.3% of the population under the poverty line, and many others have had their savings vanish into thin air. Against this backdrop, many Argentines have turned to Bitcoin and crypto as a way to hedge against 60% inflation in Argentina. That is terrible. Despite the market being in the red for several months and the central bank forbidding financial institutions from operating with digital assets, in an America's Market Intelligence report cited by Reuters, it was found that crypto penetration in Argentina had reached 12%, double that of Peru, Mexico, and other countries in the region. Wow, that is impressive. So Brazil looks like 7 or 8%, because you guys will probably have seen in the news that Brazil supposedly is one of the countries that is going to legalize Bitcoin in the future. That's been talked about. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. In addition to Bitcoin, Argentines have been turning to stablecoins increasingly as a means of storing value in the United States dollar, especially as their country imposes strict capital controls on foreign exchange services. When the creator of Ethereum, Vitalik Buterin, visited Argentina in December, he stated that cryptocurrency adoption in the country was on the rise and that stablecoin adoption was also growing significantly. He cautioned that this could change if the US dollar began exhibiting serious problems. On a broader scale, Argentina appears to be taking a cautious approach to digital asset regulation. In a 2021 YouTube interview, Argentine President Alberto Fernandez said, "There's a huge discussion about cryptocurrencies. It's a global debate, and I must confess it's a matter of caution." On a brighter note, he also stated crypto has an advantage because it helps contain inflation, and in that sense, it's a steady asset. So interesting, very good for Argentina. And this sort of coincides with the idea that a lot of third world, second world countries are going to be first when it comes to crypto adoption. I'm not surprised about Argentina or, CAR, the Central African Republic. It makes sense, right? Like looking back on data going into 2021, there have been people who have said that, like, hey, these are the countries like Nigeria, like Vietnam, right? That is the home of Axie Infinity, Sky Mavis, and all these countries are using crypto as a way to sort of boost their economies, grow their countries, right? And crypto will come with the adoption of crypto comes the jobs, comes the economic benefits, right? The crypto not being tied to their local currencies, which are tied to sometimes very terrible economies. So it's good. It is good for Argentina, and it's good that everything's sort of tied to the US dollar. So it's very hard to break. I mean, you look at Sri Lanka at the moment. Sri Lanka has no foreign reserves, so they're in big trouble. They have to take a loan out from the IMF or the IMF or the World Bank, and that's going to mean lots of tough restrictions, very similar to what Greece had, and Greece still has. So that's going to be a dampener on their economy, in order to survive. And if they had Bitcoin or other stuff, like, people could be paying them without having to worry about, having whatever the local currencies in Sri Lanka. So I can definitely see, with inflation, with the war in Ukraine, with rising prices and still having supply chain crunches, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency might be a way out for people. So we're now on our 20th listener on Wisdom. Nobody is watching on YouTube, so I mean, this is good. This means that I just might not do YouTube come to the future. Maybe next time we might actually just do this on Clubhouse and do Wisdom and Clubhouse at the same time, since I can do Clubhouse on my phone. So we'll have to give that a try on Saturday. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining. Today we're talking about Luna, Bitcoin, and the bounce is the title of today's Wisdom Talk. But really, we're talking about the news, which is what we usually do on Tuesday morning, Wednesday evening, American time. It is at 10 a.m. Taiwanese time. Should be about 10 p.m. Monday night. It will be about very late in the early evening or early morning if you're in Europe. My name is Kriyan. I am the host of the Amun Inside Crypto podcast. We do 2 shows on Wisdom a week, where we talk about cryptocurrency and the news on Tuesday, and we take questions, right? Go through the internet's questions on Saturday. If you want to check out the podcast, Google Inside Crypto on your Apple Podcast or Google Podcast. Come join us on Telegram or Discord, right? Google Amun Tokens. And I'm there. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it is twitter.com/AmunCrian, AMUNCRIAN. You can find all my information in the Wisdom app. If you have a question about cryptocurrency, right, I've been saying this for the last few weeks. Since I've started doing Wisdom, we have not had a single audience question in a very long time, and I'd love to be able to answer questions. So if you have a question about anything that's been happening in crypto, right, I will do my best to answer. If I don't answer, if I don't have an answer, I will just tell you straight. I will not lie to you. I will not tell you, yes, I know, when I don't know. So yeah, let's keep going and let's have a look at what else is going on in cryptocurrency. Investors 60% use borrow funds to buy their now crashed coins. Okay, Be in Crypto. I just got their letter 2 weeks ago, I should say, their newsletter, and they had some interesting data there. So let me grab something to drink. So we're on beincrypto.com. It says a recent study has discovered that over 2/3 of cryptocurrency investors surveyed had borrowed money to make crypto purchases. Rather than using income or savings, they got into debt for their currencies of choice. 64% of those who bought cryptos used one or more credit facilities to get the sum they needed. At the time, this may have seemed like a sound strategy. But in the last month, prices of mainstream cryptos have dropped by as much as 100%. This fall will leave many investors facing large losses, and they will still have the cost of repaying their original loan. Some investors are expecting to sit tight. Others may panic and sell to cut their losses. All right, let's keep reading. It says, borrowing money to buy crypto seems to be a young person's game, with those aged 18 to 24 most likely to have borrowed money to buy their favorite cryptocurrencies. So 18 to 24, 70% of those people would borrow money. At 25 to 34, 64%, 35 to 44, that's an interesting that it's jumped up, 68.9%, 45 to 54, 62.5%, 55 to 64, 45%, and older than 65, 25%. Different credit facilities have been used to fund cryptocurrency investments, with credit cards and overdrafts leading the way. Credit card 35%, that makes sense because it would be really easy for you to go to Binance or Coinbase or KuCoin, plug in your credit card and buy cryptocurrencies, with your credit or through debt. Overdraft, I don't know anybody who has an overdraft in Taiwan, 19.3%, personal loan 14.6%, secured loan 9%, payday loan 7.6%, remortgage 3.3%. Please do not remortgage your house to buy cryptocurrency. So going back to a point that I always tell you guys, do not spend more money than what you have. Borrowing money to buy cryptocurrency is very risky, right? You're going to read stories, like I've read stories of guys who have done this. They've remortgaged their house, or they took out a loan against their house, or they took out the money through their credit card, right? And they bought cryptocurrency and they made it big, right? Like they tripled their money or quadrupled their money. Fantastic. But that is not everybody, right? I remember I did an interview with a founder of Chile Protocol, Cenex, and he made a really, really good point. And he said, look, you see a lot of stories about the guys who have made it big in cryptocurrency, right? But you often don't see the stories about the guys who have lost money. And with the Luna crash and the USD price crash, there are loads of people who have lost money. I remember reading a story, I think it was in Forbes magazine, a guy who was a big Cardano bull, and bull means like he really believed in Cardano, and he was like, Cardano is gonna make it. Cardano's like the next best thing since sliced bread. And he bought some Cardano really early. He tripled the investment. And he's like, okay, now I'm gonna take out a loan. So he took out a loan and he bought more Cardano, and then the price of Cardano crashed. I guess he had bought Cardano when it was $2 for one, and his Cardano, I think Cardano, we just talked about it at the beginning of the show, right? 58 cents for one. So he's lost a lot of money. I think he's lost like over $10,000. So you have to be really, really careful when you're investing. Do not borrow money. I think, okay, and again, not financial advice. The only time, right? And then again, this should not be for everybody. If you really want to borrow money to buy cryptocurrency, right, is to borrow in a bull market where the market's been going up for a while, and maybe there's still some room to borrow, and you're borrowing a little bit of money, like no more than 10% of your total wealth. Fine, do it. Loads of places like Nexo, like Celsius, Binance is now they offer you crypto loans. I think if you already have existing crypto investments, I think crypto loans are better than doing like regular through the bank loans, because bank loans tend to be more predatory. So maybe if you want to borrow, maybe do crypto loans and then use the money that you borrowed there to sort of invest in more cryptocurrency and see if that makes a difference. Okay, let's keep going. Let's look at some more stories for today. Let's close that story. And it says, this is ADA, Bitcoin song sheet, how science became a fiat hype machine. Bitcoin is freedom's first line of defense. Bank of America CEO, we have hundreds of blockchain patents, but regulation won't allow us to engage in crypto. Regulation Bitcoin news. So this is an interesting story as well. So this is like if you're an American person, even if you're not an American person, you probably would have heard of Fidelity, right? Fidelity, I believe, is still the largest investment bank in the world. And loads of companies in America have put their employees 401ks in Fidelity, whether they like it or not, right? And Fidelity seems to have found a way that legally that they can do that. They can allow their customers to, if you want to put Bitcoin in your 401k, you can do so. Now, that being said, right, the government has come and said, hey, Fidelity, you can't do that. So that is a little bit risky for Fidelity anyway. And maybe it's interesting that Fidelity is gone down this route, but I mean, they've obviously seen that there's a huge demand for people. 401ks for people who are not American is the equivalent of your pension fund or your retirement fund if you're outside of America. But they call it 401ks in America. So now it's interesting that Bank of America is not going down this road. Oh, they're also a huge company. They're the biggest bank in America, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they are actually, but I mean, they're a big bank, and they've obviously have figured out the same way that Fidelity has figured out, that say, hey, we actually can get into crypto because there is like a loophole in the American law somewhere, but they're not doing that. So anyway, let's read the story and see what is being said about cryptocurrency. Okay, Bank of America talked about cryptocurrency in an interview. He says they have lots of patents. However, with regard to cryptocurrency, he revealed, we are not engaging in accounts for people in cryptocurrency. We're not allowed to, frankly. The Bank of America chief explained, because we're regulated and they, regulators, have said you can't. They said you have to ask us before you do it. And by the way, don't ask was basically the tone he emphasized. Well, that's interesting. However, Moynihan clarified, on the trading side, we could do it. Our research team writes on it. Bank of America research team has been actively publishing reports on cryptocurrencies. The bank formally established a cryptocurrency research team in July last year. So wow, that'll be almost a year. In October, the research team debuted a lengthy report stating that digital assets are too large to ignore. The bank also sees a massive cryptocurrency opportunity in the metaverse for the entire crypto ecosystem. The Bank of America CEO was also asked if he feels like he's missing out on the next big thing. No, Moynihan simply replied. Wow. Okay. So his research team said like it is pretty big, but he said he's not missing out on anything. I wonder why. So this is a story about Molly White is becoming the crypto world's biggest critic. I think she's the lady who runs the oh no, we can't read this because this is a paywall, so we're going to skip that out. Bitcoin ready for 32.8K after consolidation as BTC price gains 6.3%. 60 billion collapse of major cryptocurrency is not the industry's bear stance moment. Senators and regulators explain why. All right, that is of course referring to Luna and UST. The Bitcoin stock market decoupling isn't happening yet, but it totally will. All right, Representative Madison Cawthorn discloses 2021 Let's Go Brandon cryptocurrency purchase days after ethics probe announced. So this is an interesting story. You guys will know about this guy. He's a Republican, I believe, and he's one of the very long line of CEOs, not CEOs, like public figures who have sort of say, hey, I bought this cryptocurrency and it looks like it's pretty good. And of course, you know, loads of people say, oh my God, this famous person is buying this cryptocurrency, so I should buy it. And they do, and then the price goes down. And usually after these followers of a celebrity buy it, the celebrity cashes out and they make a whole bunch of money. So it says here he violated the Federal Stock Act, STOCK. I have no idea what that is. But so there's an ethics probe going to go into him, and I guess if he gets in trouble, he will probably be asked to stand down from Congress. So definitely, and I've mentioned this before, I think not only me, but pretty much any person, do not listen to what famous people say. I'm like not even famous, and I while I will tell you guys stuff about cryptocurrency, I will also remind you I'm not a financial advisor, and I will never say you should buy X, because that's wrong, right? Because you have to do your own research. What is good for me to buy could be not be good for you guys to buy. All right, it says YouTuber Nas's daily Bitcoin buy is 200k underwater. Be greedy and hodl. Okay, so Nas Daily, right? A very famous guy. He's done interviews with FTX, done interviews with CZ from Binance. He has like a general positive impression about cryptocurrency. So I mean, he's probably lost money, but again, like the old cryptocurrency adage is, you only lose money if you sell. So if you haven't sold, well, there you go. Building Bitcoin to last for centuries. I don't know why a lot of today's news seems to be covering Bitcoin a lot. We are in a bear market, and I think that's good. Crypto firms hope market slump shakes out bad players. So that's an interesting headline. It seems like I was listening to a podcast on Sunday. It was with the co-founder of Polkadot, Gavin Wood, and I guess a lot of crypto personalities have said that they are expecting this bear market to shake out a lot of the sort of scammy projects, the grifters, the rug pulls, that sort of stuff. So they say, and they expect that cryptocurrency will become healthier after the market is sort of done, after the bear market is done. And I think that's good, right? I mean, it is kind of a shame that in a bear market, and especially this bear market, right, that I remember looking at data yesterday that in 2021, we've seen progressive upticks in the amount of people who are getting involved in crypto. And therefore, this year, we've seen the greatest number of people who have suffered the most losses because of how much cryptocurrency has gone down. So it's kind of a shame that lots of people have lost money, but at the same time, it's going to make the overall cryptocurrency market moving towards the end of 2022 and into 2023 much more healthy. I saw another headline earlier today where somebody said that, let me drink something, where somebody said that one of these billionaires said that he expects Bitcoin to hit $250,000 by the end of the year. And again, right, like last year, people were like, yeah, Bitcoin's gonna hit $100,000 in 2021. It never did that. So again, this is one of those things you take with a very small pinch of salt. So you can decide whether you want to believe it or not. All right, we are at 24 listeners. So hi guys, my name is Crane. I'm the host of the Inside Crypto podcast. Sorry about the sound of my voice. Usually when I end up talking a lot, it ends up being like this. So I have to do another podcast at a later date today. So it's probably going to sound like this. So anyway, so I just want to give you guys a last chance. We usually do this show on Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning Taiwanese time for about an hour. So if you do have some questions you'd like to ask me before I sign off, please hit the join button and come and ask me a question. And I'd love to answer anybody's questions. So give you some clarity or give you a little bit of understanding if I can. Anyway, with that said, let's keep going and let's keep looking at the news. Okay. Binance obtains regulatory approval to offer crypto products in Italy. Regulation Bitcoin news. So that was news that was announced earlier this week that Binance is going to be a regulated crypto exchange in Italy. I'm very surprised about that because the EU in general has been very, let's say, very conservative when it comes to cryptocurrency. Christine Lagarde, which I guess she is the head of the IMF, and she was like, cryptocurrencies are worth nothing. They're terrible, that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm surprised about Italy, but it's good for Italian people because I'm going to sneeze again. Sorry about that, guys. So what does it mean that Binance is in Italy? It means that Italian people will be able to use the largest exchange in the world. And so Binance is the largest exchange in the world. They have the most services, and we've talked about this on previous Wisdom Talks, that if compared to Coinbase, compared to KuCoin, Binance has the most staking options, the most DeFi-like options. It is like the best place I can think of personally in my crypto experience to get started in crypto, because you can stake, you can dual investment. They have different sort of options. They have like very low risk crypto options. They have like medium risk and high risk options. And you can do everything from within the Binance app on your phone if you're a mobile user. And lots of people like to sort of do investing on their phone these days. Nobody wants to sit in front of the computer like me. Like I work in front of my computer. So yeah, that is that. So yeah, good for people in Italy, good for Binance as well. Binance is definitely becoming more proactive when it comes to regulation and trying to sort of become a regulated exchange, as opposed to sort of middle of 2021 where they had loads of issues when it comes to exchanges, and like in Singapore as well, they had to pull out because of the government rules. Okay. The block crypto 3 days ago, Intuit Chief, so Intuit is a very famous tax app, says cryptocurrency traders had difficult tax season. Bloomberg, right? So yeah, loads of people, we've talked about this before, that loads of cryptocurrency people had problems with taxes. One of my coworkers as well, he had a huge tax bill because of doing cryptocurrency trading. And so again, this is for mostly American people. The IRS has said, hey, you did X amount of trades, so you made X amount of money from cryptocurrency. And because all the exchanges in the States, right, the regulated exchanges have been reporting trades and who you are, and you had to do KYC, right? So they know who you are. And they told the IRS, so the IRS knows, okay, John Jones made $25,000, so he has to pay $25,000. He has to pay an X amount of his $25,000 in tax. So that kind of sucks. It is something that you have to be prepared for. I just messaged somebody today. He's a friend of mine. He was one of the original podcasters I had on the show when it comes to tax season. And he's a cryptocurrency tax accountant. And so he sort of explained some rules about how you can save money. So tax season's already over for the States, but you should definitely, if you are somebody who's investing regularly, like I do, or you're a day trader perhaps, you should have a tax plan for when it comes to your cryptocurrency. Okay, let's think about that. All right, so that's something for you guys to think about. India ready with consultation paper on cryptocurrencies, government official. So India's like they've regulated cryptocurrency, but I remember they've gone like with a real severe regulation, where India has said that like if you trade in cryptocurrency, they have like a tax rate of 30%, which is crazy. Whereas like here in Taiwan, we have a flat 5% tax on profits from sales of cryptocurrency. Crypto Codex, large price swings. Crypto braced for 9 trillion Fed earthquake as Bitcoin, Ethereum, BNB, XRP, Solana, and Cardano soar. Our SEC rejects another spot Bitcoin ETF. So, loads of companies are still trying to get their spot Bitcoin ETF. We know Grayscale, right? Grayscale, they're the very famous Bitcoin trust. So it says U.S. financial regulators continue to drag their heels when it comes to accepting Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as mainstream financial assets. After 2 months of deliberations, the Securities and Exchange Commission rejected One River Asset Management's One River Carbon Neutral Bitcoin Trust, a spot Bitcoin exchange traded fund. One River submitted its ETF proposal a year ago in March, 1 year ago, and that's how long the SEC took to make its decision. The SEC said it would delay its decision until May. One River's proposed ETF was unique compared to other products, as the investment firm pledged to buy and dispose of carbon credits to account for the emissions associated with Bitcoins in the fund. So I'm surprised. I mean, like, being a carbon neutral fund, like, it's very difficult for you to buy Bitcoin, and buy environmentally friendly Bitcoin, because it's hard to track that sort of stuff. But they were like going to buy carbon credits, and there are lots of criticisms when it comes to carbon credits, but that is an approach where theoretically and actually realistically, that when you are offsetting your Bitcoins with your carbon credits, like rarely something is happening there. but the SEC still said no, right? So the SEC approving a spot Bitcoin ETF would be amazing. It would, I would say, would probably start the next cryptocurrency bull run. They didn't, and Bitcoin investors are currently watching Grayscale Investments LLC propose Bitcoin ETF, which the company is expected to file before a July 6th deadline. The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust holds 18.4 billion in crypto market assets. According to Bloomberg, Michael Sonnershine, CEO of Grayscale, said the company wouldn't rule out legal action. Yeah, that is very famous. I was listening to a podcast where Grayscale, Michael said they would sue the SEC if the application got rejected again, which is very, very aggressive. While the SEC has been reluctant to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF, it has approved future-based funds, right? We already know this. I mean, that propelled Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies prices to go up last year. However, Bitcoin futures traded on the CME only track Bitcoin prices. The contracts are traded and settled in cash. Only two countries, Canada and Brazil, have approved spot Bitcoin ETFs, right? Canada is very forward thinking when it comes to Bitcoin. So fantastic. I guess that things are moving forward. I mean, even though it's a rejection, it just means that, you know, the SEC has to have a reason to keep rejecting, and they haven't exactly explained why. I think when it comes to Grayscale, it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Hopefully, like, again, this is my personal opinion. Hopefully they do sue the SEC, you know, if their application gets rejected again, because it's kind of crazy, right? It's, I don't know why the SEC is sort of dragging their feet and taking so long to make a decision when it comes to Bitcoin. So anyway, that is it. Let us go back and check at the market cap at the moment. So Bitcoin, yeah, still pretty much about the same. So guys, this is going to be pretty much it for today. If you just joined, right, you have probably about like 1 to 2 minutes if you want to ask me a cryptocurrency question. This YouTube experiment was interesting. It is a shame nobody joined, and I just realized as well, like, I should do this later. I think I started a bit early for you guys today. I think a lot of you only started listening at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I appreciate everyone coming to listen to today's talk. So today we talked about Luna, Bitcoin, and the bounce. The cryptocurrency markets have bounced, which is fantastic for people who maybe you bought low, you bought like a few days ago, so you've made a little bit of money. We're still waiting for the markets to sort of go back to 6 months ago or a year ago, where, you know, Bitcoin was at $67,000. Who knows what's going to happen? It might be a temporary bounce. It might be the end of the bear market. You know, you never know. Cryptocurrency is unpredictable, which is kind of good if you want to sort of make your own money. As usual, guys, please don't forget to follow me on Twitter. You can also find me on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram with my name, Kriyan Padiachi. You can also follow the Amun Crypto News channel on YouTube. Subscribe and like. Again, the next show will be Saturday. So no, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday morning, Taiwanese time, Friday evening, American time. We will be taking questions. So if you have friends who are into crypto or they have questions, please tell them, you know, use Wisdom, log in, come ask me some questions, because I would love to answer. And maybe come Friday, we will do a dual Wisdom and dual Clubhouse room and see how it goes. Okay, and that will be it for me, guys. Please don't forget to follow on Wisdom as well, and I will talk to you guys later.
Hello, everybody. My name is David Whitcott. I am from Florida. Typically, I usually like talking about things having to do with the mind and philosophy, in particular phenomenology, which is the observation.
Hello, I'm Joanne Law, Director of Mediation Institute and co-founder of Interact Support. I live in a seaside village in East Gippsland with my partner Paul and dog Bruce, who looks a lot like a dingo.
Peace and blessings, everybody. Listen, we're in a time and place where
Hey there, my name is Shannon.
Hi, my name is Dr. Siraj Marian. My favorite topics are economics, international.
Hello, my name is Howard Falco, and I am the author of I Am, The Power of Discovering Who You Really
What's going on, everybody? Are you someone who is on a personal path to self mastery, yet find it hard fitting in the most